So today we're talking about the 1987 Robocop film directed by Paul Verhoeven, who has directed various other classics. One that is very similar genre and thematic wise, Total Recall, and honestly, Starship Troopers to an extent as well. I think all of these three movies are satires on sci-fi genres and conventions. I think Starship Troopers to the most extreme. I think that I don't know which one's the next most extreme. I think these ones are a little more similar, RoboCop and Total Recall. But and then he also did Basic Instinct, which I have not seen, but I've definitely heard of. But I think these three, in my eyes, sum up his filmography the best because of just they're sci-fi classics. I mean, I'm a huge sci-fi guy. They have unique, fun stories. There's some comedy to them, some satire, and the concepts are just great in all of them. And specifically with Mr. Robocop, and thinking of it as a satire, like we were just saying, that's it's a satire kind of the Terminator. It is like, a bit serious. It's like, again, the satireness of the movie is that it's kind of disguising itself as this like kind of taking itself seriously cop, action thrill ride while poking fun at some of the conventions of the genre. So yeah, the satireness is very interesting because like you were saying, yeah, it does have some very dark sequences, but a lot of them are like just played off. I don't want to say played off for laughs, but it's like the concept itself has these like serious, crazy sequences, and some of them are funny, some of them are horrific, but in general, the whole package really isn't very serious. And again, I agree. I think that the opening of the movie is fantastic, and it's a great tone setter. So, I mean, I guess it's not really a big spoiler, the opening of the movie. So, he's a new cop. He comes to a crime-ridden Detroit. And, he starts out with his partner, who is Nancy Allen, who I thought was great in this movie. And he goes off on this one mission to find some thugs of the Detroit area. And he just gets absolutely obliterated. He gets absolutely torn to shreds. And for the 80s, the gore in this and the effects were so awesome. They were gruesome. Like, I was shocked when he gets just like absolutely obliterated. Like, you see the bullet wounds, the blood coming out. He gets shot in the forehead, that wound just like right there in your face. The amount of times he gets shot, it was insane. And yeah, so that opening really set the tone. It's like, oh, he's really dead. It's like not having known any previous RoboCop content, or I mean, I know it's like the original and everything, but like I didn't know anything about RoboCop. And I thought like, he was going to be like alive and like a person. But no, he wasn't. He's just like pretty much dead, and they managed to salvage parts of him and make him, a Darth Vader-esque man machine. And yeah, he becomes RoboCop with no memories of his past life. So I thought that part was really interesting because it is a satire movie, but the psychological part of his brain where he doesn't have any physical memories. Oh, there was a good line that I'm forgetting. He doesn't have any memories of it, but he has feelings of it. One kind of plot hole springs to mind, though, because why didn't they just make a full robot? I don't know why they didn't make a full robot. I think they are showing off at the beginning of this movie. I guess the banner right here. They did make a full robot, right? But it malfunctioned. And so the part human aspect, they're kind of using the brain as like the main engine of this new RoboCop. And so just like the wiring of the brain has some different rationale. And so I know that's just kind of like a different part of it. Like the natural part of the human body being a part of that kind of made the difference. And they can try to communicate with it because there's still parts of like a human left in it that was slightly educated. Why did they need a dead human body if they were going to make it like 80% robot anyway? yeah, and I think that's I don't know, just that slight human element into it. And I think that slight human element of the movie made it a more interesting movie. Cuz like I was just about to go on with ED-209 was scary. But then it like tripped on the stairs and it fell over and it started like crying like a little animal. It gave it like lion noises. And it's like the guy who made the robot was like, you know, it'd be cool if we gave it lion noises. But then it made the lion noises when it was like trying to be threatening, and it was kind of funny. Yeah, the stop motion does make it. You can tell every single time the stop motion, like, so you have the scene in like the courtroom where it's first coming out, and every like the whole frame just gets a bit darker when the stop motion happens because they probably filmed it, and then they're pasting on the stop motion onto that film, and I don't know, something with the light, it just makes it a little darker. I don't know, I just noticed that. It's not really a flaw of the movie because, you know, it's not perfect, and the stop motion is very charming actually, but yeah, it is a scary monster, but it kind of had like a cuteness to it, like I was saying, with the weird growls it made and the way it tripped over the stairs. It was kind of funny. Okay, what was I? I was going on about the psychology of Robocop. So I think that I really did enjoy the fact that he was grappling with his past. Like I was saying, that he doesn't have any physical memories, but he has feelings. Oh, I think the line was like, I don't remember my wife and child, but I feel them. Or like, I know who they are. So it's like the feelings that he can't really describe linger, and he has no physical memories to attach to them, but they still linger. And that was a really, really fun thread to follow. And yeah, the way that Nancy Allen tries to get it out of him, I thought that was really fun. It definitely humanized him more and made him more of an interesting protagonist compared to yeah, just like a complete robot. So I think that human element really was necessary. And an interesting thing is that I kind of checked out a few scenes from Robocop 2014 with everybody's favorite actor, Joel Kinnaman. And the way they did it was a bit different, which was kind of interesting. I know it's not very critically acclaimed. I mean, as a 2.3 here. But there were a few things that I respected, that they did it a bit differently. When he gets shot up in this movie, he comes back and he's still conscious. He still has his memories. And the scene that I watched on YouTube was a scene where he has his robot suit and then they take it all off him. And he's just a head and a pair of lungs and a hand for some reason. And then he sees himself in the mirror and he sees that he's just a head and some lungs. And he's like, just kill me. Please, just kill me. And then Gary Oldman's like, you know, think of your wife and family. Like Gary Oldman, he was like, he's not really a villain. He was kind of trying to be charitable, but like, he was like, think of your wife and family. And he's like, oh God, just kill me, please. And that scene, honestly, it was very dark. I think it was pretty well done scene. And so they kind of made it different in that regard, which I respect, that they're not just making a remake as a carbon copy. But back to this Robocop in general. Yeah, like I was saying, the psychology of the actual Robocop was a lot of fun. And the general story is just classic. It's pretty straightforward, the general actually what's happening in the story. But it's just so much fun. And I think back on the movie and there's just so many scenes where I'm like, that was so cool. That was awesome. And I was very skeptical going in, thinking that he was going to be robotic, pun intended, as in like the protagonist being robotic was going to be a bad thing where we're not going to sympathize with him. But the way he interacted with all the villains was so much fun. The way that he goes and I don't know the thug name, but where he goes and he goes to the gas station when one of the thugs was like sticking up the guy at the counter, and he has that moment of your move, creep. Yeah. So many good lines. Like the line at the very end. Spoilers. This is just full on spoilers now, whatever. He goes, you're fired. Thank you. Throws him out. So good. So, like I was saying, when he goes to that gas station, the guy's getting stuck up, and then he goes in there, and then the thug is like, "Hey, I recognize you. We killed you. We killed you." And then he just slightly gets away. I mean, he gets like toppled on his motorcycle and everything, but he gets away. OMG, movie geography guy. That's me. That's me. Welcome. We're talking about Robocop. Have you seen Robocop? Robocop is so good. I love Robocop. But yeah, he gets away, but then he left his cigarette and the thing blows up and then he's walking away and it's an explosion and it's like, ah, oh, this guy's so cool. No? Oh, you gotta go see it. You gotta go see it. If you heard what I, like, he walks away from an explosion after, like, a guy gets tossed off a motorcycle, but then his cigarette lights it up and explodes. Oh, it was so cool. It was so cool. You had to have been there. Had to have been there. I like that fake game they advertised on the TV where the kids, oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was awesome. I love that. Oh, man. There were so many, like, oh, now I'm remembering. I was thinking about just the story completely as, like, what happens in the story. But I love the intermingling with the TV programs and the technology and everything. I think that, first off, his technology of, like, how he operates, his POV of, like, identifying people and, like, aiming and things like that, it's very charming for the 80s. And I think that really did not translate to the 2014 version, wherein, like, it's kind of like the classic modern computery style in the 2014 version. It just wasn't as charming. I thought this one was super charming. And also all of the inserts of the TV programming of, like, not only the newscasters, it's like something crazy happens and then they cut to something where it's like, yeah, this board game where you're trying to nuke the other person. It was called like Nukem, or I forget what it is. Oh, that commercial, incredible. There's a few other really good TV spots, like those two hosts. They were so funny. They were great. Oh, I love those inserts. Because again, I think those inserts really helped solidify it as a satire. Because honestly, I haven't read too much discourse around the movie, but I could see some people not seeing it as a satire and seeing it mainly as an action thriller. But the satire elements really, really worked for me. And again, that connection we're making with Terminator, satiring Terminator, and it did a satire, but also an interesting psychological protagonist at the same time, which was awesome. Just got to give it props. It hit every mark that I wanted. It wasn't too crazy satire where it's just strictly comedic, but it also wasn't too serious, whereas it was like, roll your eyes, okay, robot has feelings. It was a really nice mix of those, and it worked out really, really well. And also, hand in hand with the gore, and just like the action moments were just really, really cool. And specifically, the biggest gore moment in the whole movie, that was the best, is when Ray Wise's character, they're in the final showdown with Robocop, where Robocop and Nancy Allen's character, they're in this abandoned building. And then all the thugs come because they have his location. They're like, all right, we got to get rid of him. They've recorded me saying that we're working with this, like, this government guy, or not government, just like this board member guy, and that, you know, we're in cahoots with him. We got to get rid of Robocop, delete his memories, blah, 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 everything. Just destroy him. And then Ray Wise's character, there's a scene in the car chase, and then his car, it just absolutely crashes into this vat of toxic waste. And then he comes out of the toxic waste, and his fingers and his face is just drooping. And he's like, help me. And then the other thugs are just like, oh, what the, please, no. And then he walks out into the road where the chase is actually happening, right, with Robocop and then the lead thug guy. And then they drive right into him, and he splatters everywhere. It was so awesome. That was incredible. Oh, wait, that wasn't even Ray Wise's character. I'm being stupid. That was the other guy who had, like, the weird cut on his face. Oh, man, I'm so dumb. Okay, it was not Ray Wise's character, but still, it happened to another character, and it was awesome. Because after that, and then we move into the final showdown of him and the main bad guy. What was the name of the main bad guy again? It wasn't Dick Jones, even though that's a classic name. Clarence Boddicker. He was a great villain. Kurtwood Smith did a great job there. Clarence Boddicker. And so they're in this, like, construction area, and they're having this final showdown. And then Ray Wise's character, he gets the excavator, and he drops a bunch of metal on Robocop. Oh, no, you think he's defeated. Clarence Boddicker comes, stabs him with his metal rod. They're still fighting, blah, blah, blah. And then Nancy Allen takes one of their huge guns and shoots Ray Wise in the excavator, absolutely demolishes it. And then you have RoboCop with his like middle finger metal rod and just absolutely destroys Clarence. It was great ending. That metal rod that comes out of his hand, that middle finger part, that was intentional. 100%. That's another satire element, subtle satire element. It works so well. Man, so many great scenes in this movie. Like, again, the elements all just worked for me as a big sci-fi guy. And then you have him going to the boardroom at the very end. He walks in, and then the other robot is there. And it's like, oh yeah, the robot's protecting us downstairs. There's no way anybody gets in. And he just absolutely demolishes the robot with the giant gun. Walks in casually. Sticks up this guy. He's like, oh, you are the bad guy. You gotta be terminated. And then his programming, of course, does not allow him to hurt high up officials. But then the even higher up old man official says to him, "You're fired." Then RoboCop, he says, "Thank you. Now we can kill him." Throws him out the window. So simple. So beautiful. It's just RoboCop. RoboCop is just like, he's a simple man. It's a simple movie, but it works. It just works. It was fantastic. Everyone should watch RoboCop. And again, mirroring one of the first scenes in the movie where they bring out the robot and it malfunctions and just absolutely demolishes an employee. Again, that's another scene where it's like the gore there. It's like he just gets shot up. And then somebody's like, somebody call a paramedic. After this guy has been like shot in every physical spot on his body. They're like, call a paramedic. We got to save this guy. No, he's gone. He's gone. And then there's so many scenes I'm just remembering. I forget his name. The guy who invented the RoboCop. Then you have his characters like, yeah, we're going to be rich. And he's like doing some cocaine with like these two women. And then this guy, I forget his name in the movie, higher up douchebag guy, comes in and he's like, oh, I see you're doing cocaine. And then he just gets absolutely demolished. Wait, no. It wasn't him who came in there, but he was on the TV, right? So it was Clarence Boddicker comes in, and then he's like, hey, you're having cocaine? Ooh, I'm going to kill you. Ladies, get out of here. And then he puts a video on the TV of this guy, and he's like, we could have been friends. We could have been buddies. We could have made cool robots together, but no, you had to outshine me. And then there's a grenade, and he gets shot in the leg, and he can't get the grenade in time. He gets absolutely destroyed. That was revenge for the scene in the bathroom, which was also great, where they were talking about him, but he was on the toilet. So many great scenes. So many great scenes. Clarence is a hitman. Yeah, he was phenomenal. Clarence, great 80s villain, iconic 80s villain. Man, but yeah, so many scenes in this that were great. After watching it, instant classic, instant sci-fi classic. Absolutely loved it. Yeah, phenomenal movie.